Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Crockett Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my man in the building, Donovan Sadiq. I got the Queen, Demetra K. And I am the five-star general. I thought last week they say it wasn't no racism in the United States of America. And now we finding sisters hanging in Boston, Mass. Are we serious? Say we gonna talk about it tonight, man. Cause I'm ready to call Kamala and the black dude a lie. Let's go. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone and tell you thank you for taking the time out to come and hang out with us. You know, we do this every night. We do this for y'all. You know, I know we do it for y'all, but I do it for the hood. You know, because I got my roots is in the hood, baby. So I'm going to start it off with, say, man, I'm flying in next week. Me and K Reno going in the lab. We going to do the song for the election run, but the song is going to be off the chain. But we shooting the video on June 12th. First spot, we going to stop over by Yates. I'm inviting every alumni from every high school in the city, around the country. Say, man, my peoples is flying in. I got the cars coming. The whole 9 yards, man. So if you went to Westbury, Yates, Madison, Forest Brook, it ain't closed to me. Smiley, Jones, Booker T, Wheatley. Say, man, I don't care where you come from. June 12th, we're going to start at Yates, and it's going to be at 6 o'clock because I ain't got time to be dehydrating in that heat. So we're going to do it a little later in the evening. And I'm gonna see if my man Papa Square can come out there with that giant barbecue pit so we can have some food out there. I take care of y'all. But if you ain't never been in a video, say, man, come on with it, man. I'm gonna leave it on the floor in this election run. I promise you, we gonna make them mad with this one. Donovan, what's going on, my friend?
All right, welcome to the Tuesday edition of the War Zone. We really love and thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us. Hey, you know, that video shoot sounds like it's going to be pretty fun. A lot of us have been locked up. We're trying to get back out there and get in the game. I strongly encourage everybody that's down in Houston to get down there, go have some fun.
I strongly encourage you to book you a flight.
Yeah, that's where I was going to think about. So, I might have to come down there and see what it do,
Man, come on, man. You come on, hang out with me, man. Me, you, Demetra, Al. We going by the club when we get through. I take care of y'all.
There it is. Like I said, but I got to stay in the VIP room. Sorry. So, but hey, you guys, a lot of stuff going on. We want to thank you guys for yesterday's conversation. And I got a lot of great feedback in that conversation yesterday because, people are kind of like tired and it's just the same old. And, we try to switch it up for you guys and make it a little fun as well as get educated at the same time if you're interested in that stuff. In the news today, Derek Chauvin says, I deserve a new trial. You had a Negro on there that went to the Martin Luther King 20th anniversary march on Washington. That is a violation of my rights. So I should get a new trial based on that and a few other things. The jury should have been sequestered from day one, so on, so forth. So, here you go, white supremacy at its finest. You have a few white supremacists and insurrectionists that are being charged. A lot of them are cutting the deals. You guys remember the guy that had the Confederate flag? Had the nerve to have the Confederate flag going through the Capitol, right? Of all the bonehead things you're going to do. And of course, he's from Delaware. He wasn't from the South. He was from Delaware. He is being charged today and trying to do a plea deal and get that. And as you know, disgraced vice president and Darth Vader himself's daughter, Liz Cheney, is trying to be ousted out of the Republican Party. But what does that tell you about how whites really feel about democracy? Now, this is something that they came up with to tell you, government for the people, by the people, whatever, right? But yet they don't believe in it. but you do, but they don't. And they're thinking they're doing nothing wrong because it's about white supremacy. This is a system that has been set up to keep them at the top at all costs. So again, show me in history where a failed insurrection happened and there was a trial. Only in the United States. Demetri, what you got?
So hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday night edition of the War Zone again. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys can do us a favor and share this live so that everybody else can get the information and join in on the conversation, we would greatly appreciate it. We're actually going to be talking about a few things here today. We're going to be talking about, as Gary said, there in Boston, a 16-year-old girl by the name of Michaela Miller was found lynched hanging from a tree on April 18th. And so we are just now getting wind of that. We're going to discuss that. We're also going to discuss the 2-year anniversary of that of Malia Davis here in Houston. She went missing. And of course, you guys know what happened to her from that point. Her mother, Brittany, had a fiance, Vince, and he is now, he has been charged for her disappearance and murder and tampering with a corpse. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And of course, we're going to talk about the Derek Chauvin, murder trial kind of still going on. Whereas Donovan said his lawyer, he had until tomorrow anyway to file a motion for an appeal. So that was more of a technicality anyway. So we're going to get into those things. So Gary, I'll let you decide what we're going to talk about first.
I mean, we can get past Chauvin so we can get to the young lady. I don't know if y'all want to hear it. I'm majoring in law. And I kept telling y'all about a mistrial. This black juror that's running his mouth, he's really giving this man some ammunition to work with. When you lie on your pre-jury questionnaire, he told 2 untruths on his pre-jury questionnaire. Therefore, to me, if I'm an attorney, which I will be, he should have never sat on that jury. He should have never sat on that jury. I'm telling y'all, this is not good. It's not good. And, now you got, on top of that, Maxine Waters was a little watered down to me. I don't think it had any smoke behind it. But this dude, they got smoke behind this one. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm in Minneapolis. I finally get a break next week. But I'm going to tell you something, bro. If that happened, say, man, it's going off around here. It's going off around here. But he needs to shut his damn mouth. That's all it boils down to. Because whether you like it or not, the system is not designed to help us. But there are loopholes in the system that are put there just in case something like this happens. So if you are a juror and you made a decision and they can, it's up to the judge. Now, I'm going to ask y'all, how many of y'all trust the judge? If it's up to the judge, I guarantee you, he'll have to call a mistrial. If this goes to the Supreme Court of the United States of America, you can best believe they're going to rule on it, and it ain't going to be the ruling that you want. Donovan?
I totally agree with you on that. But do you think that it possibly, because we do this in the military a lot, and sometimes somebody's got to take a bullet, and you got to. Do you think it's possible that they would weigh the fact of what could happen across the nation to go through this again, or just to pay this guy off or have him do some time and just take one for the team so that we could move forward with other things and agendas?
Well, if they wanted him to take one for the team, he had a deal. He was trying to work on a deal before this even came up, a few days after it happened. And they wouldn't cut the deal with it. You see what I'm saying? So no, they wanted to deal with this in a court of law. But the problem is when you sit on these juries, man, you got to shut your mouth. I don't care how you feeling or whatever, but you got to shut your mouth, because the way that you can screw it all up is if that judge feels like this man made a decision based on the fact that maybe it was going to be additional riots, or, the whole country was going to go off, and this man made that decision based on that, that is a violation of Chauvin's due process rights. And if that's the case, he has no choice but to call a mistrial or grant his appeal. And if he doesn't, I'm gonna be honest with you, whether he's black, white, whatever, sitting on that bench, hey, bro, you ain't gonna sit there too long because you in violation of the canons and the rules and the policies that are in place to even be a judge. So this guy has really, I don't know if somebody done paid him to do this, whatever, but he making some stupid moves right now. Dimitri?
Yeah, so I guess we should probably outline the issue a little bit more. So the issue is juror number 6 allegedly had lied on his questionnaire. There's 2 questions that he was asked. The first question was, did you participate in any of the Minneapolis protests in regards to what happened to George Floyd? And he said no. The second question was, did you participate in any police brutality protests or demonstration or anything like that, or anybody close to you? And he said no. Now, of course, you guys have seen the picture of him at the March on Washington that Al Sharpton spearheaded. It was on the anniversary of the Martin Luther King March on Washington. And so he had the T-shirt on that says something, and then get your knee off our neck type of thing, right? And so people are making an issue of that and saying that he lied, but there are multiple reasons why he could have been at that protest. It didn't necessarily need to be that he was there for protesting what happened to George, even though he had on the T-shirt. Now, also, when he was during the deposition from both sides, they asked him, how do you feel about Black Lives Matter? And he said that I am in favor of Black Lives Matter. And they also asked him, did you see any of the Derek Chauvin, George Floyd tape? And he said, yes, he had seen that. Now, also, Derek's lawyer is calling for a mistrial due to the judge refusing to move the venue somewhere else, saying that also he would not sequester the jury. And he felt like he, being Eric Nelson, Derek Chauvin's lawyer, felt like the jury should have been sequestered. And so he's also calling into question the judge's ethics in not granting Derek Chauvin a new trial. So I say all of that to say, yeah, there's a whole lot of things they could appeal for, but I think we also need to understand it's a technicality. They had until tomorrow to file a motion for an appeal. If they didn't do it, then he doesn't get an appeal. So right now, what his lawyer is doing is throwing in the kitchen sink, theory. I'm going to try to throw everything in there and see what sticks and see if he gets an appeal. Now, the other thing people need to realize is only 10% of appeals actually go and actually get granted. So he has a very slim chance of even getting an appeal. Again, only 10% get seen. But the real question, I think, was a couple questions I have. For one, even if you get an appeal, you are still guilty of murder from what everybody saw, including those jurors who said that, ruled that he was guilty. Also, if you get a new trial, what are the chances of you finding a jury that say, okay, well, second thought, you didn't do it? So whether, there's some things that they're calling the question, again, it's a technicality. The issue still remains is, are you guilty of murder? That question does not change regardless of what evidence they bring in or, what technicality they try to get the case thrown out under.
And then at this point, you got to say that everybody saw the verdict, and some people in one way or form has seen some part of the first trial if he gets another trial. So I don't think that would even help his chances, to even reverse the decision of the first trial if he gets a second trial.
Yeah, I get it. And I totally agree with both of y'all. The only problem is if I wouldn't be studying law, I wouldn't be where I'm at in my decision-making process. He's still guilty of murder. But before you even get to that point, which we know the system wasn't designed to help Black people, that's in the books. It wasn't designed for us. You still have the right to have an impartial jury. So if you're going to answer the questionnaire, you tell the truth on the questionnaire. Yes, I did go to a march, blah, 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 blah. And I'm pretty sure, and I think y'all will agree, if he would have said that, because he was an African-American, I don't care if people get mad, they would have struck him from the jury. They wouldn't have allowed him to sit on there. But he lied. See, that's the problem right there. It's not like he told the truth that they let him sit on the jury. He lied. And I think it's going to be a problem. Well, we know he killed George. No question about it. And hopefully the judge just kind of overlooks it, but I don't see this judge doing it.
Well, did he lie? Especially if they asked him if you are pro Black Lives Matter, and he said yes. Did he lie when he said, yeah, I've seen, the video? So it wasn't like it was a secret. He went in and said, oh, no, I didn't see it. I don't even know what happened. He didn't say that. So he was very clear on his position about him being pro Black Lives Matter. So none of that was even a secret to them. Now, the second question, so first question, he said no, he did not participate in the Minneapolis protest. But the second one is where it gets kind of gray, because again, that March on Washington was multifaceted. It wasn't just for police brutality. It was to commemorate Martin Luther King's March on Washington, and a whole host of other things. So, I mean, he could have said, yeah, I'm here for, to commemorate the Martin Luther King, March on Washington. So they'd have to prove that. And I know the shirt, but the shirt, I mean, I think we could put two and two together, but who's to say that that shirt is not for somebody else? Because it's not the first time the police put, their knee on somebody's neck, right? So, I mean, they would really have to prove that he completely flat out lied. Again, there is doubt. There is doubt to actually what his intentions were. So,
well, can't he use the excuses a lot of the insurrectionists use? The president made me do it. The big boy on the block made me do. Can't he use that? I mean, it's working for the white folks. Why wouldn't it work for the other?
He ain't white. That ain't gonna work for him. But in all seriousness, I mean, I just think, I think we get too excited over not having all the information, and that's what the media does. And again, at the end of this, it's a technicality. His lawyer had to file an appeal by tomorrow, so that he was gonna do that anyway. Now, of course, and trust me, I study law. I ain't gonna tell y'all how or why, but I do study law, okay? And I do know that less than 10% of cases that go to the appellate court actually get heard. So he's got to really have that smoking gun type of thing that says, what, my client was done dirty. I mean, hell, if you watch the case, and I watched the entire case, the judge was completely, to me, sometimes I was like, damn, I think he's trying to throw this case for the defendant, but now they're throwing the judge under the bus, saying that he was biased because he wouldn't move the venue and he didn't sequester the jury. But so now all of a sudden the judge ain't no damn good. Better hope they don't go before that judge again.
All right. And then for the appeal, it goes to a higher court. Am I correct, 5-star?
Yeah, you go to the appellate court. So, you'll be sitting in front of some different people. So, that's the thing. I mean, saying that the judge didn't allow this and allow that, I get that. That's not a concern to me. The gray area is the questions that were asked on the questionnaire and the way that he answered them. It looks like it looks, man. So, if that was the thing, Mr. Monroe, have you ever been to a demonstration in regards to police brutality? Yes, I have. Washington, D.C. Answer the damn question right. Because now I'm telling y'all, it don't look good. I'm just being honest. And you never know. We were surprised that they even convicted it. You know what I'm saying? As fast as they did. So you never know how this thing gonna go. Talk to me about the angel, Malia Davis.
So as you guys know, Malia Davis, she was a little girl that lived in Houston. She was murdered by our mom, Brittany. She had a fiance. And she came up missing on May 4th, 2 years ago. And, the stepfather was the last one that was seen with her. And there was a surveillance camera outside of the apartment building showing him going into the apartment with her. And then he leaves with a clothes basket and she's nowhere to be seen. And so roughly 10 days later, they ended up, he told them, where her body was. And so he has been charged for murder and the disappearance of Malia and tampering with the corpse. And so he has a trial, actually, I guess a court date rather, in July. But some are wondering why is it taking so long, for him to get justice. And I get it, the pandemic and all that is going on. So that could be why. But, just really reflecting back on the case, Malia Davis's murder did not have to happen. It sounds like the mom's boyfriend, Vince, was abusive to Malia, it wasn't a secret that he, you know, had some issues with her. And so I just always think about being more vigilant over the lives of your children. Now, it also says too that Brittany, which I don't understand why she ain't in jail, but that's a whole other story. But she left because I guess she broke up the engagement, left the ring, and because he was cheating or something, left. But then you leave your daughter in the company of a dude who you're leaving and who was abusive to your child. And so yeah, that was 2 years ago, and you know they're still. I'm waiting for him to go to court. Now the maximum sentence he is looking at is a life in prison. Maybe they took the death penalty off the table because he kind of admitted to it to some degree. I don't know, but Gary?
I think the question is, why is it taking so long? I think that's a question that the Harris County District Attorney should be able to answer. I mean, why is it taking so long? You know, there's a lot of intangibles in that case. They ain't even got nothing to do with Vincent Brittany. You know, it's some things that happened that should have never happened. Um, it is just not right. But I think that it is time to take this case to trial and let the chips fall where they may. Or maybe they really don't even know how to deal with this case, because I'm starting to see a pattern in the way that these cases are coming to court. And when it's a high profile case, the DAs are, you know, if they can get you to take a deal, they take a deal. But a case like this, you're going to have to take it to trial. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not seeing too many DAs going in the courtroom, assistant DAs or whatever, going in the courtroom battling. You see what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of intangibles there. This is not as cut and dry as some people think when you dig off into this case. You know, so I just think that the Harris County District Attorney is dropping the ball. Ma'am, take this case to court and get it done. Donovan?
Yeah, you know, it seems to me, well, and we already see this with the 1994 crime bill. A lot of these DAs, they don't want to take cases that isn't basically a slam dunk for them. A good example is in the example of Kamala Harris here in California when she was the Attorney General of California. She only showed up in high profile cases to where the evidence was so overwhelming against the defendant that it made her look good. And thus she has now ascended into the vice presidency under the mass incarceration ticket of her and Joe Biden. And, you know, and it just seems like they don't go hard for cases like, you know, for children and things, you know, unless it's like a high profile entertainer's son or, you know, somebody, you know, famous's child or something like that. It's like they just won't take that case. And I guess they just, you know, they just try to run the clock out and hope that we forget about all of these situations. And I would say a good example of that is Breonna Taylor. A good example of that is Ahmaud Arbery. It's been over a year, and the local people haven't, the district attorney in that situation over there hasn't even brought charges. The federal government brought charges, but the local ones didn't bring any charges. So
I think in Harris County, you know, we got other high profile cases. We got the Gerald Goins case with Dennis Tuttle and Regina Nichols. That hasn't gone to trial. And now the DA in the city of Houston is they should be voting on that next week, or maybe they did this week. I didn't hear anything this week. To allocate $1 million for a special law firm because they have not turned over the documents to these people's attorney that they need to turn over. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they have the ability, the legal ability to go in a courtroom and realistically battle. I mean, Kim, you may have been a great attorney in your day, but I think the game done passed you by, because if anybody should be trying that case, it should be you. It should be you. Go in the courtroom and do what we elected you to do. Not sit around and dodge the big cases where you're going to have to put some work in. That's just how I feel. And I supported Kim in the primary, and you dropping the ball. I can't support somebody like that. Take your ass in there and do your job.
Well, you notice too that Kim Og has leveled hate crime charges rather, against the one of the sisters that went into the Asian beauty supply and got into it with the owner there. So, she's doing stuff like that. And we also know that it's very popular, if you will, to highlight Black people brutalizing, if you will, attacking Asians. And so a lot of people are going to jump on that, but she surely did. And, it has been hard to prove a hate crime. I mean, even with the Ahmaud Arbery case, they just put hate crime charges on, the men that hunted him down. I'm like, well, damn, if that ain't a hate crime, what is, because it took them so long to do it. But in this particular case, it didn't take Kim Ong any time to level the hate charge against the sister at that beauty supply. So
it just looks like it was a case that could fall in line with what's popular right now. So the Asian hate thing is the big ticket right now, and I feel that she jumped on it to make herself look good. But at the end of the day, I mean, I like Kim as a person. I mean, but baby, you're gonna have to make the tough decisions. You're gonna have to go in there and do what you need to do. That's all it boils down to. This baby needs justice. This child needs justice, man. You see what I'm saying? And to even think, and I know that a lot of times you don't want to hear the gory details, Demetra, but I mean to throw her in a ditch and then have a lawnmower run over her. God damn it, take your ass in there and do your job, man. Do your damn job. You already letting all these goddamn political politicians get away with bloody murder in the fucking city and the county. Can you give us one? Can you give us one? If not, we need to blow the damn phone up at the district attorney's office. We need to camp out in front of our house. Do I need to come protest you in front of your house? It's time for you to do your job. Not just in Malia, but in the Goins case too. This man destroyed thousands of Black people for no reason with bogus drug charges. And you know this. But watch this. The only one you can seem to publicize to get it off his record and exonerate him was George Floyd. What about Philman Bates? He did it to my partner. Or I guess Philman ain't as big as George did. You see what I'm saying, Donovan?
I mean, it's all, it's all about what's popular at the time, in my opinion, and that's the way I see it. Back, and I hate to keep referencing back in time, but Joe Biden, there's video after video of him talking about being tough on crime. Now, Republicans were tough on crime, and Republicans were supposedly the war hawks of the government, right? And Joe Biden, when he initially sent that crime bill to Bill Clinton's desk, and it went back to the Senate or whatever, and it came from the House and went to the Senate, Joe Biden said, this isn't tough enough. And there's countless videos of him trying to be the tough guy. And that's what was popular at the time. The Congressional Everybody Caucus. If you guys don't know what the Congressional Everybody Caucus is, that's the Congressional Black Caucus, because they represent everybody but Black. They were all tough on crime because that's what was popular. Now that it's not popular, look at their stance on how they do things. And he rode that wave to be relevant to where he is at to this very day. And then when he was called out on his record, just like Kamala was called out by Tulsi Gabbard, it came down like a house of cards. But this is their way to power. And that's all they care about, as they're using us, the average person, especially Black people, as pawns on their way to power. A good example, they're talking about the George Floyd Act that has no teeth. What good is the George Floyd Act, like I've said on my podcast, if you do not repeal the incentive of the police departments to do what they do by repealing the 1994 crime bill? It doesn't make sense. If you're not going to repeal that bill, what good is the George Floyd Act? Because they're still going to do, and they are still legally incentivized to do what they're doing to get us where we're at right now.
And I think that people need to remember, whether it was Clinton, whether it was, Bush, when these crime bills popped off, we have to remember our people supported them. The NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, they supported these crime bills. So Biden went and got the support of the Black elected politicians. They fell for the okie doke. And now they out here trying to change it, but they don't want to call their boy. So, I mean, come on, man. That's your people's, man. You rocked with him when he signed it. You need to be on his ass right now to get this shit repealed and get this shit up out of here.
No, absolutely. I was actually just reading it, I guess an article where it was a police pursuit in Louisiana over, I guess his name was actually Eric Smith. He had killed his ex-girlfriend, I guess it was, and her nephew, and the police were pursuing him. And not only did they shoot him, they shot his months-old baby to death that was in the car. And so it's crazy to me. You know, I get it. You need to apprehend the suspect, but you know he took the baby. You pretty much can have to assume that the baby is in the car with him. So why are you shooting into the car? And there's a baby months old is what they're saying. And the baby, you know, was killed as well. I mean, it's just, to me, when I hear stuff like that, it's like, well, we got our suspect. Yeah, it was a baby in the car. The baby was, was a casualty of war, if you will. It was one of those things we kind of like. How do you explain that? You know, and I know we keep going back to the examples of them apprehending, white suspects who, do, I don't know, way worse as a good analogy, but they do heinous things and they end up coming in without a hair touched on them. But yet when they're apprehending Black people, they gonna kill them and the babies. And again, I know Black people don't benefit from the laws in this country. This country was never meant to benefit us. And I know the police officers don't view us, and not just police officers, but white supremacy in general. They don't view Black people as human. But how do you continue to justify doing those type of things unless it is all by design? It is all by design, to continue to kill Black people. And, there's been a lot of speculation that this is, retaliation for Derek Chauvin getting found guilty on all three of those charges. But how else do you really explain it? You shooting into the car and a baby could be in there. Like what else could there be unless this is premeditated wholesale murder of Black people?
There's nothing else we can say about it. I mean, you just said it all. Last week, there was a big whoop-de-doo about Tim Scott and Kamala saying the same thing, that there was no racism in the United States of America. I would love to meet the Black person that hung a young Black woman, 16 years old, in Boston, Mass. So can somebody tell me when the last time somebody was convicted to be a Black person, hanging a Black person? Demetri, give us the backstory on that, please.
Yeah, so in Boston, Massachusetts, and April 18th is the day that allegedly it happened. Michaela Miller was found hung from a tree. Now, her mother said that she had been being harassed by a group of kids, and ultimately they ambushed her and then jumped her. Now, the police this is what her mom was saying. The police was telling her not to report it, not to make much to do about it, if you will. And I'll go ahead and read exactly what her mom said. She says, my daughter was jumped by a group of kids on Saturday, April 17th, 2021, and was then murdered hours in Hopkinton or something like that, tied to a tree and left. The police did not log either the incident when my daughter was ambushed, nor when she was found dead. The state police did not conduct an investigation or speak to the persons involved. They did collect evidence or provide me with a police report. The state, I think she meant they didn't. The state trooper who is in charge, Sergeant Sean O'Brien of the Millbury State Trooper Barrack, warned me not to go to the media or else my daughter's sexuality will be exposed. Well, I did, and they will not cover up her murder. Please attend and share this. And so basically what she was saying about her daughter's sexuality is that guess it was discovered that she was LGBTQ, the teenager was. And so she was saying the police department was like, well, don't go public about it because you don't want everybody to know that your daughter was gay or whatever the case was. And so she says that I don't care, I'm telling people. So that's how we know about it, is because the police kind of was dragging their feet. And she said, well, the police were saying there's no evidence of a race, it being about race or anything like that. Now, it was also said they're trying to demonize her mother and saying that, you know, or trying to maybe imply that her daughter killed herself because I guess her father had died. Then it was saying, I guess her mom was having a hard time making rent. So they were kind of throwing out all of these little dog whistles to shift, you know, the attention from it being a lynching and maybe just try, you know, like they've always done, especially within the recent history, when one of ours are found hanging from a tree or something, they try to imply, or they, in a lot of cases, they just flat out rule that it was a suicide. And the mom was like, no, she wasn't suicidal. But another thing I think we should take note in this case is they are now trying to attach it to LGBTQ, opposed to attaching it to her being Black. And so that's something that the media and the powers that be, and you know, especially in that community, they'll try to do is they'll try to hijack it and say, oh, it was because she was this. But we know that, I'm not saying, you know, people of that community can't be lynched, but we know lynchings are, you know, prevalent with that of Black people. So it's something that we're just now learning about. And in closing, I want to say this. It sure would be nice, and y'all can be mad if you want to, that if we put as much attention on our girls that are being murdered by the police, that are being lynched, and everything else that like we do the men, because I guarantee you somebody's going to have something to say about that little girl being of the LGBTQ community opposed to her being lynched.
Let me just say this in regards to that. See, this is what happens when you go to Congress and you have representatives and you've got the money to buy your politicians, where you could become a protected class. What was one of the first things Joe Biden did when he got into office? LGBTQ, he made them a protected class, just like he recently made the Asians a protected class. This is what we're talking about. But like Demetra is kind of alleging there, and it's actually true. When a policeman comes up to you or he shoots you down, he doesn't say, wait, before I shoot, are you LGBT? Are you Black? They see that that's a Black person. They shoot the person down right then and there. Okay. They don't care about your sexuality. I don't care about your sexuality. I don't care what you do in the bedroom. You definitely don't want to know what I do in the bedroom. So I don't care. So again, a protected class is a protected class. And it's amazing that we talk about this because, you know, somebody had told me that, oh, well, you know, the officer in the Sandra Bland case, it was adjudicated that he would not be on a police force ever again. But did you notice they never solved how Sandra Bland ended up dying? They never solved that case. They told us she was hung. You've got video, you got all of this evidence. It was never, and we are so, and that's just everybody, you know, just trying to live. Sandra Bland, to me, and I'm all the way here in California, was what to me was a very interesting case in the fact that we are so forgiving, or we are just so on to the next tragedy, that we didn't realize that that woman didn't get any justice. Her family didn't get any justice because it wasn't solved. And you can go back and look at the jurisdiction of a lot of these cases that did get the officer arrested or this or that or whatever, but did the family get justice? And right there, Sandra Bland, a Black female, nobody understands how she ended up dead. And that's another bit of unfinished business that I think that we need to address and start writing these cases down, especially when it comes to these Black women. Black women are missing all over the United States, and the news media is not talking about the new Black news media is, but the regular Black media is not talking about it.
These people are going to continue doing this until we do something about it. We can't seem to get legislative law change or federal level law change. Nothing is being realistically done. And the reason that they'll keep doing it is because we have selective amnesia as a people. And something happens. They know us. They got the blueprint to it. And we'll be mad for a couple of months, then we'll let it go. Then we move on to something else. We find a new party to go to. I just think it's time that when it comes to you've heard me say it before, and I'm dead serious. When it comes to our women and our children, somebody need to start paying for this shit. And that's all it boils down to, man. I mean, you can't keep talking. Because the more you keep talking, the more you keep praying, the more you keep marching, the more they keep doing it. Because they already know you're not going to do anything about it. So now, my question is for the men. What you going to do about it? What you going to do about it? You keep voting in the same people. You ain't holding them accountable. You say you're going to hold them accountable. So what you going to do about it, man? Somebody need to get this smoke, bro.
Yeah. Black Ricardo, how you doing? He says, I hear she had a fight with 5 white teens before she was killed. And so, yeah, that's what they're saying. They're also saying that the county that she lived in, or, it was a suburb, and it's predominantly white with about 2% black people. And so I think it's also very telling that the police, as for her mom, what her mom was saying, wouldn't even go question the suspects, in question. They just didn't even think to bother, especially since the day before they jumped her, that might they had something to do with it. But, it's an all white county for the most part, and they are going to protect their own people. It's easy just to write it off as a suicide, or, well, we don't know what happened to her, because for one, she's a black female. And we all know how not just the country, but the world feels about black women. And she's black in general. As Gary said, it'll be on to the next. Oh, they found a black teenager lynched. All right, what else we got going on? And so they know that we have amnesia when it comes to stuff like that. But at some point in time, we are going to have to start, doing something about it, because I don't care what you say. There's always been a hit out on black people, but it's worse now. It's getting worse and worse every day, because had that been reversed, where a white girl was lynched or whatever the case was, and 5 black girls had been seen or been known to have jumped her the day before, that would have been the first place they went. And so, at some point in time, we have to do more than just get excited or get mad, because one of my favorite phrases is, along with getting angry, you have to take action. And unfortunately, they know black people are not going to take action. Yeah, we'll march. Well, they're having a vigil on Thursday for, Michaela. But what is that going to do? Like, we are praying and going to all these vigils. My father always says, prayer ain't worth a damn at a bear meeting. And black people, we have been at the bear meeting. Now, for those of you guys who are a little bit younger, don't understand what that means. That means when you are amongst a bunch of bears and they about to eat your ass, the last thing you're going to do is get on your knees and pray. You're going to find something to take them out and get yourself out of there. So we, as black people, at the bear meeting, and we are done praying. We're done with these vigils. We're done marching. We actually have to act like the bear is 2 seconds off of our ass, because in essence, it is.
We punks. We punks. Step on a pair of Jordans, y'all ready to kill the world. Mess with your little bopper, y'all ready to kill the world. Women, if she trying to sleep with your old man, you trying to kill the world. But these people out here doing this stuff, and we ain't doing nothing. So these black nationalist groups, all this stuff that we got going on, man, go sit your asses down somewhere, man. Y'all ain't gonna bust a grape in a fruit fight. That's how I feel about it. all this marching and singing and no, we need to cut. See, if they knew we were going to go the hell off, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. I don't give a damn if them people would have put up so much of a defense for Chauvin that would have been out of this world. They wasn't going to do it. They were going to convict him because they knew we were ready to go the fuck off. Let's just be honest. So we got to have the same approach. It's a cutoff point with foolishness, man. It's a cutoff point with foolishness. Now, we don't want to be violent, but we're going to be nonviolent with those that are nonviolent with us. That's the end of that. Keep your hands off our kids, man. You see what I'm saying? So where's Al Sharpton on this one? Ain't no money involved. Ain't no money involved. I don't care nothing about the LGBTQ label. This was a young black lady. You see what I'm saying? Where Crump at? You got something to say? Not Negro? Or ain't no money involved? You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to be getting behind all these old cases where there's money involved. You got everyday black people that are being lynched in the neighborhood. And we won't stand up. If you can't stand up for that, sit your ass down for everything.
Amen on that. Amen on that. Last week there was a quick blip on the local news. It even made it out here to California. I think it came on CNN or something like that real quick about that young black Southern college student, 19 years old, and she was missing. And they got video of her crossing the bridge near Baton Rouge and stuff. And then you don't hear anything else. It's like, okay, boom, boom, on to the next thing. And her family is asking people if they've seen her. I mean, you got all these cameras and stuff. So I want to address Fayville's thing there. Fayville, like I said, we like your input. I really do. It's good conversation. It's good conversation, but it's almost like you're trying to make the conversation go a different way. And you're saying here the Sandra Bland case settled, and the family agreed that she was a suicide. But they sued because Bland's mother, Geneva Reed Veal, alleged that Bland should never have been detained and was not properly cared for while in custody. Okay, we agree with all that. But what I said was, again, the case was never solved. You have all of those cameras in a correctional facility and a detainment facility, and they cannot show you the video of Sandra Bland and what happened to her while she was being held. They just dropped the ball on that. And that's what we're talking about, these murders and things that go on. When you put, that source up, it doesn't tell the whole story. Because the question is, where is the video? Did they ever solve this? The facts of the case show that she could not have done what they alleged that she did. And, that's just the bottom line. And we got to start asking ourselves questions like this. And just like the 5-star said, as long as we keep praying, as long as we keep marching, as long as we keep, just singing, nothing's going to be done. I'm going to tell you, as a military man, that is the perfect position for us to march in. And when the people just subjugate themselves, that's perfect for us to take over your country. That is absolutely perfect. And as long as we know you're not going to do anything, we're going to continue to do what we do. And that's what we got to stop doing as black people.
Tanaya Smith says, maybe they haven't heard about it. I'm just hearing about it on this show. Well, let me address that for you tonight. Them Negroes heard about it in Boston. Trayford Pellerin, them Negroes heard about it in Acadia. You see what I'm saying? Ahmaud Arbery, the Negroes heard about it in Georgia. See, you may not have heard about it, but where we live, we hear about it. But we ain't gonna do shit. We ain't gonna do shit. So when the murder come to your front door, I'm not you in a sense tonight, but I'm talking about people. When the murder come to your front door, line it up, homie. Line it up. We either stand up, do something about it, or it's gonna keep being done.
Yeah, it most definitely does. I covered a case, and you guys probably saw it trending about a man. His name is John Christopher Smith. He was a slave. He was a slave in this modern day. he was forced by his white employer to work for him for free, 100 hours a week with no pay. And this went on for several years. Now, the black man was, they said intellectually disabled, if you will. And whenever his family would go check on him and, try to talk to him, he wasn't able to do that. He was enslaved to the point of his boss would beat him with pots, pans, belts. And they said that and he's 38 now, John, burn marks all over his body from when, his name was Bobby Paul was his owner, the restaurant owner's name. Burn him up with cigarettes whenever he gets mad, right? So anyway, he ended up getting sentenced to 10 years in 2019 for what he did to him. And most recently, he had to pay him back pay, if you will. It came up to like $273,000, and they doubled it, for overtime and all the stuff that he had been through. But I guess the reason why I'm bringing that up is because this is like modern day, right? What I described, you would think that happened in slavery, in the 1800s, but this happened recently. And so we live in a day and age to where Black people are still being enslaved. And how many other John Christopher Smiths are out there that we don't know about that are being held hostage and, he was a slave. I mean, I don't even know how else to describe it, but that is where we are as Black people. We are where people feel like, hey, this is the new millennium. We just put him back in slavery. Even when his family would go try to check on him, the white dude, the owner was like, you better not go talk to them. And I get it. He was intellectually disabled, but it was, I guess, some people who ate there and another employee who finally decided to blow the whistle, like, yeah, something ain't right. And then, of course, they being Social Security or somebody like that, went and checked them and found out what happened to them. But we are out of time as Black people. I know a lot of people think it's a joke, like, we ain't going back into slavery. Well, why do you think we're not going back into slavery? And the other thing that I said, too, in my piece is that, well, for lack of better words, they paid him reparations. He's getting reparations for being a slave. And I'm like, well, somebody somewhere in court decided that he was a slave and he deserved reparations. Well, why don't we as a people deserve reparations, our ancestors anyway, for going through the same exact thing that he went through and even worse in some situations? And so I just found that kind of weird, but don't get it twisted to thinking that we are above going back into that situation.
No, you're right. I mean, all you got to do is look at how the cycle is working. It's actually reversing. We're going through segregation right now. People are like, well, we're in the most diverse community in the country, Houston. I don't give a damn what you say. We're dealing with segregation. In Houston alone, does anybody know that I forgot what it's called. There's a community in the city of Houston, a prominent community that's 90% white. There's still documentation in place with the city of Houston that says Black people cannot live in that neighborhood. No, hold on. 5-star, you talking about 30 years ago? No, I'm talking about yesterday. I found this out. I got the call because, man, look, man, if we ain't going hard in the paint, I ain't going. And you know what's so sad? It's a neighboring neighborhood next to the neighborhood where your Black mayor grew up. You telling me you don't know this, Mr. Mayor? It's on the books. It's there. Man, we they got us where they want us. Because these old sucker Negroes we got out here right now ain't going to do nothing over.
My man, Tiandre Hayes says, but we as a community need to figure out what is the best way to pay our communities these reparations. Again, I'm going to say this until everybody really understands. It has already been adjudicated that reparations can only be paid in a financial compensation. Now, Tiandre, let's say you already have your bachelor's degree, maybe a master's, maybe a PhD. If you let the government says, we're going to give Black people 20 years of free education, they just denied you your reparations based on that. It could only be a monetary compensation. And they have already did the math. As a matter of fact, what's his name that used to own BET, Robert Johnson, said that he had a number of 14 trillion. He was 3 trillion off. But if the government would have said 14 trillion, I would have took that. But the starting number is 17 trillion. It could only be a financial compensation. And I know people are going to get up here and say, oh, well, you know, Black people, we're going to just throw that away, whatever. But not all of us, not all of us. It can only be a monetary compensation. And then out of the 14% of us that are Black, only 8% of us are ADOS. So just because you have Black skin doesn't mean you're going to get a check. So that means if it's $17 trillion, do you know how much money that is a month? You're talking about 500 and something million for the 8% of ADOS people that are here a month for that first installment. And 17 trillion is a first installment.
Jason Peters reminded me that's Oak Forest in Northwest Houston. Yeah. Not far from you and Al, Dimitri. Community right now where it's still written on paper that Black people can't live out there. So they exclude them. You can't buy the house. They come up with every reason in the world. And realistically, I wouldn't want to live out there anyway. I ain't gonna live where I ain't wanted no month. It ain't gonna happen. But I'm just saying that, you know, when it comes to reparations and stuff like that, and people, oh, well, they shouldn't have it. Well, they gave it to y'all. They gave some form of money to the Indians. They gave some form of money to the Jews. You know, the immigrants coming over here getting everybody money. But Black people ain't entitled to nothing. Don't make us pull a kick, though.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that, Gary. I mean, there's a lot of communities all over the United States that have it written in their clauses that they shouldn't rent to Black people. And George Bush, his estate actually says that the house that he lives in is written in one of, you know, his rental clauses or mortgage or deed or whatever. They shouldn't be renting to Black people. So that's not a secret. But also, like you said, we don't want to live there no way.
But have we ever really thought about that most of the races that are against us getting reparations have got some form of payment already from the United States government?
Yeah, well, you know, they have unity and they are actually at the, you know, a part of the white supremacist power structure, if you will. So, of course, they are going to get that. But yeah, I don't never want to live predominantly by nobody white. No shade to white people, but I just don't want to do that. Okay. And also, I want to address, let's see, where to go. ANPDM1, how you doing? He says, if they keep us at the economic bottom, it's to keep us near to slave economics as possible. So yes, part of that is true. They do things to keep us there, but we also do things to keep us there by giving away, you know, 97% of our $1.3 trillion that we get every year as Black people here in America. We help keep ourselves there by not practicing group economics, by shopping everywhere but where we are supposed to be shopping, and that's keeping our dollars within our own community. It gets circulates 6 hours in our community instead of, like, you know, white people or Jewish people. They say this dollar circulates 20 to 30 days. It, you know, hits our pocket, we cash it, and it's gone. So there are things that we can do, and you know, as far as us continuing to hope that the white power structure, if you will, stops being racist against us institutionally and systemically, that's probably never going to happen. But we have to recognize what our part in this is and then do something about it. Because, like, we can't continue to say, oh, everybody's against us, which they are, but yet we are against us too. So we have to recognize that every time we give all of our money away, all but 3%. Now, just imagine this. You cash your check, throw away 90% of your check, and then say, oh my God, now I'm going to try to survive on 3% of my check. And I heard something today too, and I'm going to try to remember. It says poor people spend, and then save what's left over. But rich people save and then spend what's left over from that. And so we as Black people have to reverse us spending all of our money and then say, well, I'm going to save that. It's impossible to do. We have to get in the habit of first saving. And then when we do spend money, put that money back in Black hands. That's how we can help alleviate what you just said.
Real quick, Leonard Peel says a reparations bill must have a hate crime bill against Black, like the Asians bill had. Now, I agree with you on that, but here's the difference that I have versus what you just said, Leonard. If I got my reparations bill and part of that 17 trillion being ADOS and I got $500 million, I wouldn't give a damn if they put a hate crime, anti-hating bill in there. It wouldn't matter to me. You know why? I have the economic money to buy my politician and do what I want to do.
But see, hold on a second. Leonard is right, though, because along with that reparations bill, we do need to be a protected class of citizens. I mean, it just does, because we get the money. We're still not protected. Money ain't never saved a Negro from a lynching rope. Never.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Let me finish, Donovan. So that we can get all the money in the world. We can get all the 17 trillion plus with interest and all of that. But there will still be lynched unless we are a protected class. Go back into history where we've, heard about affluent Black people being lynched in their lands and everything else stolen from them because they were uppity Negroes, right? And so to his point, there does need to be a hate clause in that reparations bill to protect Black people.
Right, but here's where I agree with them, and don't get me wrong. My point is this: how did the Asians get a bill to make them a protected class? Asians are the one of the smallest groups in the United States, but they are one of the richest groups. They had the economics to purchase their politician, and again, so we're kind of saying the same thing, but on a different way, that we do it. But if you have that kind of money, we can buy our politician to get us make us a protected class.
Well, let me take it to the hood for y'all. See, if we was politicians sitting at the table discussing this with these folks, and you see how quiet I would let y'all talk. Now look here, y'all done talked about God, you done talked about studying. Man, run me my money, man. You owe me my money, man. If you don't want to give me my money, give me my 40 acres and you can keep the mule. 40 acres is the equivalent of 25 blocks. Give me my goddamn land you owe me, man. You see what I'm saying? Because I know I'm ADOS. Ain't no questions. Ain't no questions about it. I need my money, man. So all this, these folks talking around it, we got to study reparations. Did you study that money for the Holocaust? Did you study that money for the Indians? These people got billions. So why you got to study that? And all this, especially in the most diverse city in the country, Houston, Texas, we see you get on TV, Mr. Politician. We need to support our Asian businesses. We saw the politicians go to the Asian restaurants. Don't be afraid to eat in their restaurants. But when have you got on TV and told the Asians to come down and support our businesses? I'm sick of these people, man. Run me my money, man.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. But, again, we have to realize our position here in society. And if they're going to continue to do to us what we allow them to do to us, and they're also going to continue to do to us what we do to ourselves. I mean, it's just a fact, And I saw somebody too, I can't remember who it was, it said something about education or something like that, that they should give us education. Well, I'm thinking if I'm getting a lot of money, I can get my own education. And, maybe everybody don't want to go back to college. There's a lot of people who own and operate businesses who ain't seen a day of college in their lives. And so I just think when we water it down to say, well, because that's the same thing Joe Biden and them are doing with their Lift Every Voice plan. They're saying, well, we're going to allocate money to this. And we're going to, because what you're doing is spending my money for me. Write me my check. And I can go and do all of those things that if I want to do. But that's just how people see Black people. Oh, they're, infantile. So we got to allocate the money for them. We even see a lot of Negroes who are saying, well, don't give them the money. You know, we need to do this and that. No, give me my money like you gave everybody else their money, and I can decide what I want to do with it. But I will say this, until we change our behavior, like what I just said, as far as spending and saving, the money will go back into the hands of the oppressor. So we do need to change that.
As far as education, they never wanted to educate us from the gate. If you were caught reading as a slave, they would kill you, beat you, whatever. They never wanted to educate us from the gate. See, we had our own black education, and we messed around and wanted to go to school with them. Let's just be honest about it. We were doing good. And as soon as we went into their buildings, they dummied us down. They dummied us down, man. You see what I'm saying? See, even today, when you speak of education, the education my kids get in Southeast Houston is not the education that a child gets at River Oaks. It's not. And it's the same school district running the same curriculums, but you make sure we don't get nothing. So I tell you what, and we back at that table again. Y'all can talk about education. You can talk about God. You can kumbaya. You can talk about Malcolm, whatever. Man, run me my money, mate. If you give me my money, I will donate something to a college and get me a goddamn degree. I don't need you to do nothing. I don't need you to try to tell me, well, you should spend it on this. I don't need to spend it on nothing you talking about. You owe us our money, man. And like my friend over here, I can't remember, Kiki will say, you compensated the Jews for the Holocaust, and that didn't even happen in America. We're talking about what you did to us on your soil. What you did to my grandmothers and grandfathers and greats on your soil. You raped our women. You killed us. You separated our families. You made sure that we couldn't get jobs and we couldn't do anything. And now it's time for you to pay up, and you got every excuse in the world. I think it's time for us to get together and tell these people, F you, Stone Cold Steve Austin style, and let's get ready to mount up. Because all this talking ain't getting it done.
Exactly. Real quick, Eric P says, reparations not all about money to me. Give land and resources. Well, again, if you don't have any money, how are you going to get land and resources when land and resources is very limited here in the United States? You got to have money to even get into that conversation. They can give you the land, and then what, Eric? I'm just saying, let's say they give you 40 acres and a mule. Do you have $25,000 to pay the property tax on it? Now you've lost the land. So they gave you the land and you lost it within a year if you didn't have those kind of resources. Do you see what I'm saying? How many of you guys have heard white farmers are suing the government in regards to the money they just compensated the black farmers who were locked out of the resources for farming up in Iowa? They don't want the black farmers to get money that was due to them back in the 1930s up until now. They're suing because they didn't get any money. This is how they think. I always say it. Money makes the world go round. Without it, there's not much you can do in this country. You don't have any power. And how do I know? Did not the Democrats 5 stars say that the problem with politics is that we have money in politics is the problem? Did they not say that? Now, please tell me in the last 100 days, what bill has Nancy Pelosi and any of those people up there done to repeal Citizens United?
Let me just clarify something too. Eric, I want to go back to that comment. It says reparation is not all, the operative word being all, about money to me. Give land and resources. And so what he is saying is that in addition to the money, give us land and resources. And that's what the original 40 acre and a mule thing was about, land as well. And so
I agree with him.
Yeah, so he wasn't saying just give me land and resources. He was saying in addition to, because reparations is not all about money.
Right. But what I'm saying is you've got to have a monetary compensation or nothing.
Well, that's what he was saying too. Yeah, that's what he was saying too. And also, for a lot of people who voted for Joe Biden and Kamala, Joe Biden and Obama gave the Jews reparations. That was under the Obama administration. They said, and Biden basically said that there's a lot of Jewish people, and it was really for the senior citizens, the older Jews, that they shouldn't have to suffer and live in poverty. That's what he said. They shouldn't have to live in poverty they should be given some money so that they can live on. So that was y'all guy, Obama, and Biden, the one that y'all had to get in the White House. He did that, but he said out of his same mouth that he'd be damned if he give black people reparations for something he had nothing to do with. Now I want to know, did he have something to do with what the Jewish people went through?
Well, let me ask y'all a question, and maybe you know, maybe you don't, maybe you can Google it. How many people, Jewish people, died during the Holocaust?
They said it was roughly 6 million, give or take.
And how many African Americans, black people, Africans, died during the Middle Passage?
They said over 100 million. Over 100 million made the passage.
Hold on, because I ain't that smart.
Right.
Demetra said 6 million Jews, right? And you said 100 million.
Over 100 million made the passage, and 80 million were disappeared.
Okay, so 80 million compared to 6 million, and we need to study this? And we need to study this? I be damned. Well, y'all done taught me something today that I don't need to take no goddamn math in college. Because if they can't do basic mathematics, something is wrong.
Well, just put it this way. Farrakhan said, and I got my Farrakhan shirt on today, y'all. He said what the black man has been through in America would make a brass monkey shed a tear, because he was asked that in regards to the Holocaust. And so he was like, well, what about the Jewish people in the Holocaust? And he says what the black people have been through in America will make a brass monkey shed a tear. So not to deduce what the Jews had went through during the Holocaust is a horrible thing. Nobody should ever go through that. But what you're not going to do is say that time period in time supersedes that of black people here in America. And so, where is our money?
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying right there. That I don't take nothing away from what happened to the Jews. And I will say this, if you're Jewish and you're watching this program, I don't study you. I don't study your situation. I got black issues that come from like 400 years ago, so I study that. But what I am saying, did they study y'all stuff as long as they plan on studying ours? Or did they just make up a number and gave y'all money? With the Indians, I mean, you gave the Indians land. You gave them money and land. We know they got the land because we go to their casinos. They got plenty money. But all you want to give us is food stamps.
Yeah, last year, the Supreme Court ruled that half of Oklahoma is Indian territory, Indian land, half of Oklahoma. But NPM1, I hope I said that right. Today I saw a HUD for Native American mortgage for $500K home. They're mortgaged for $300 a month. God, I hate when people do that. It was $300 a month. The rest is federal subsidy. Now, remember when they were talking about a bill for black people when Joe was in the primary and he was saying, well, I'm for a bill as long as there's something for Indians. And a couple of weeks ago on this show, I reported that Joe Biden and the Democrats in the House and the Senate quietly passed a $30 billion bill for Native Americans. They didn't put it on the news. They didn't highlight it. So other groups are getting money. And now think about it. For that bill to pass, 58 black representatives had to also have voted for it. It passed overwhelmingly. So you mean to tell me we've got people at the table that feel that they could vote for this and give these groups money and give these groups money and give these groups money, but they refuse to give their own group money? This is what we're talking about. And this is why the New Black Media, we put this out there so that you guys are aware. And I want to big up our friends out there, because this topic and this conversation is on fire. I mean, this is why we do this show, because it's the conversation and the ideas. You guys are awesome tonight. The comments are off the hook.
Yeah, and let's see here. And Tandre, how you doing? You say estimated 16.8 million were murdered. So yeah, 100 million slaves was a little bit on the high side. It has said it was about 13 million. 10 million survived the Middle Passage, and percentage of that actually ended up over here in America. But needless to say, yeah, quite a bit of black people were murdered under the institution of slavery. And hell, we want to attack on Jim Crow and even today. So, you know, it's still, you know, kind of going on. And that's why they call what police do to Black people a state-sanctioned murder. It is sanctioned by the state as legal, you know, especially throwing qualified immunity. So Black people are still being murdered under, you know, a white supremacist institution known as America. And so we need our money. And we also need to be a protected class of citizen within that bill. I don't want them to just write us a check. I want them to say, okay, now we need y'all to leave Black people alone. And if you don't, then you will have a hate crime and you will suffer the consequences of those hate crimes. Because let's be honest, Black people, we have a target on our backs. We are an endangered species. I don't care what you say. Al was reading me something, Steve Harvey, you know, he's now in South Africa. And he says it's a wonderful thing to wake up and not have to think about being Black, you know, because you were amongst the majority. He says, stop calling him a minority. And he says it's just the stresses of being Black are not there anymore. And so, you know, that's what we go through in America, not knowing if I go out, you know, if I get pulled over, is this going to be the end for me? Like what, you know, and not even just with the police, but anybody who feel like they can just murder Black people and get away with it. So, yeah, I mean, we are still in danger. So,
being a protected class, I'm just sitting there brainstorming. You know, the Asians, somebody beat up a couple of y'all, so now you're a protected class. They killing us and, you know, hanging us. We shouldn't be a protected class. You know, the Jews, somebody makes an anti-Semitic comment, you make them a protected class. But, you know, we get hung and we don't get nothing out the deal. I like Pimp C at this point. Donovan, it's time to pull a kick, though. Where the safe at? It's time to pull a kick, though. If Al Sharpton them want to do something, you know, y'all putting together these old whack-ass marches that ain't solving nothing. But ain't none of these Black politicians stepping up. Why take 3 African Americans to sit on Facebook every night and tell you the real when you got these people that's out there supposed to be doing it and they ain't telling us nothing? They ain't fighting for nothing because they already paid for. They already got there. They don't live where it flooded. They don't live where the crime high. You see, they kids ain't going to no messed up school. I know several Black politicians in Houston whose children are in private schools. You know how crazy it is to have somebody sit on your school board, yet their children are in private school. Man, what the hell?
You know, and you bring up a good point. Okay, we have all these shootings and all these things happening, but that's why I'm the recovering Democrat, because I realize that this ain't good for me. We keep electing these people. We don't know why. And yet George Floyd comes down. Big ups to Maxine Waters, because she went to ground zero. Big up to her. Even though she doesn't do much other than that, but they don't say anything. Have you guys ever noticed that? All of your Black representatives, because let's be real, white people don't vote for Black politicians on a whole. They don't. So let's be real. When Black people get into office, it's due to Black votes, period. But yet all this stuff is going on. You don't hear these people caping for us. You don't hear them demanding this. What every year, the Congressional Black Caucus, Everybody Caucus, meets with the president. Go to their webpage right now. Do you know what they're doing? They're taking photos and pictures of them celebrating their 50th or 60th year in existence. Nothing about the Black issues that are affecting our community and where we're going and how we're going to get there and what legislation that they are going to be doing for us. We have no friends. We just don't have them.
Yes, Pam, how you doing? You say meritorious manumission is rampant in our community, especially with politicians and celebrities. Absolutely. And so for those of you guys who don't know what that is, it was laws, I guess, enacted back in the day during slavery, actually. And it was 3 things that Black people can do in order to get favor with the slave master. One is turn in another slave. One was save your slave master. And the other one was invent something honorable or something like that, or worthy, and then you would be looked upon favorable. And so, to your point, yes, we do still have politicians that are doing that to Black people. And I won't say what it is. You guys can ascertain what I mean. The jab, right? The thing that's going on. They want to try to get this, the Rona under control. Look how many celebrities are out there telling you to do it. And, I was so heartbroken when I saw Spike Lee telling, people donate a ride from Uber and Lyft so that people can get a ride to get the jab. And it's like, I saw Bun B on the news today, talking about people go ahead and get it so musicians and everybody we can be amongst each other again. And I'm like, what is in your biscuits? What kind of is it some premium butter on your biscuit? I mean, it's just like you keep seeing all these people trying to impress upon you. They talking to us, and there's admittedly a lot of white people and other people who don't want the jab either. But they know that we don't want it, but yet they even got the Tuskegee experiment victims' families talking about this is different. Y'all should go on out there and get it. Now, we reference the Tuskegee experiment when we talk about this jab, but yet here are the ancestors, or the descendants rather, saying, well, it's okay, go get it. So I'm like, what are they giving you people to do this? Like, this is insane to me. And why is it? And I get they're trying to get it to go away, but we don't know if it's really effective. But why is it this big giant push to get people who don't want it to go get it? I just simply don't want it because I don't trust it. Like, leave me alone, right? But they won't.
Money. They're making money off this. Bring. Yeah, hello. Brother Monroe, we need you to go get the jab. Jab your mama. Click. I'm good. I'm overweight. That's the only problem I got. I don't need nothing else. It's money. You know just as well as I do, D and Donovan. It's money. They're making money off this, man. They're making money off this. But so what happens at 12 o'clock when Cinderella need to be at home? 12 o'clock is in 2 to 3 years. What happens if it ain't what we were supposed to do? I need some land because I'm going into the cemetery business. And I'm charging $4,000 to dig your hole. And guess what? You're going to pay it. You ain't got no choice. Y'all need to wake up, man. The high power gave us a brain. If you can't figure out why these people want you to get the jab, then you ain't as smart as I thought.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring up the Tuskegee Airmen thing, Dimitri. They've rolled out your boy Obama, and Obama says, well, the problem is not the Tuskegee Airmen experiment, very bad thing, but that was a case of the government withholding treatment. The government is trying to help you this time, and you know what I mean. And they just put this spin on it. And then here it is. Isn't it kind of suspicious? What's going on in India now and all these other countries, and now the gates have broke up all of a sudden. Isn't that strange?
That's why I said we really gonna find out the truth now, because somebody finna spill the beans. Like, let me tell you what he was trying to do, because the Bill and Melinda Gates have come under a lot of fire. Like, okay, y'all into technology, what you doing? Talking about some sterilizing people and giving people the infusion. So somebody gonna talk. Watch, I guarantee you, we gonna learn more than we wanted to about that divorce.
And everything that goes on, we learn about it in 2 to 3 years, and then all of a sudden, but it's gonna be different because on this one you can't sue nobody. Ain't gonna be no payouts. Ain't gonna be no settlements. Nothing. So I mean, I don't get it, man. I don't get it with our people. Them motherfuckers go tell us drink some monkey juice. And we gonna
Wait,
just throw the cup up.
put Jonel's comment up toward the bottom.
You know, in our community, Robitussin cures everything.
He said people are getting charged for the jab when their loved one is up on the slab. They will get that tab for the jab.
They are. And he telling the truth. He telling the truth. The fuck? Bitch, you can't even prescribe blood pressure medicine the right way nowadays. And now you want me just to go up there, Mr. Monroe, let him hit you with the jab. I'm gonna hit you with the meat. I'm not doing nothing.
Oh my God, I am weak. But yeah, no, seriously, I mean, I don't know. We better start opening our eyes. You know, and Gary, you hit on something a couple of minutes ago in regards to education, you know, them not educating us and stuff. Well, you know, Google is free. YouTube is a whole university in and of itself. Now you got to weed out some of the nonsense because YouTube is a different beast in and of itself. But there's a lot of good information on YouTube. You know, like I was trying to learn about gluten intolerances because I believe I have a gluten intolerance. I can't eat nothing, right? But I was learning a lot of stuff on there. And I'm like, so you can learn anything you want. But we, as Black people, have to get out there, get in the books. You know, John Henry Clark, he wasn't formally educated. He educated himself. He's the one that said Black people have no friends. And he ended up being a historian, a professor, and, you know, traveled all over the world. And he created Africana studies. But he was self-educated. So the point that I'm making is, and I'm not saying you're saying that, Gary, but we need to stop waiting for somebody to say, bam, here's some education. You know, because we know, as you said, they didn't want us to be educated, and they still don't want us to be educated. Why do you think these white folks are now, and Gary, I know you've heard about it, they getting up in these school board meetings, well, we don't want them to learn about the, because they think that, I forget what they're calling it, but race-based studies. Oh, it's divisive, and I don't want my child to learn about that, and that doesn't make me racist. I just want them, you know, I feel like they're going to tarnish the history of America, and they're very vocal about that. But so what? They don't want that taught there. There's no reason we can't teach it at home.
What I think is that, and I'm saying it once again, there are not enough African Americans showing up at school board meetings to fight these battles. How you gonna tell me that my child shouldn't learn about Black history, but you want to teach them the white history in the school? And I tell you what, why don't we just take history out the whole damn school? That's how I feel about it. But see, I'm bold enough to stand at the podium and say exactly that. But it's cool if I do. But I ain't got but 4 Black people in here with me with 500 white ones. You see what I'm saying? The reason our educational component is messed up, we are not as involved in education as we think. You just showing up at the goddamn parent night ain't dealing with the educational system. I'm sorry, but it ain't. The movers and the shakers, the games, the money, you got to go to them school board meetings, man. And they don't hide it from you. They sit right there in front of you and tell you, we're going to hit your child with the meat today. We're going to close your Black school next week. And we just sit there and we take it. Well, you know, us 5 don't take it, but we outnumbered. We outnumbered. We don't show up. We never show up to the fights that we need to show up to. But we'll show up at the club.
Yeah, well, you know, didn't Malcolm X say that? He said, they will have the gas ovens built before you realize they're hot. And he perfectly describes Black people generation after generation. By the time we realize what is going on, it's going to be too late. I put a meme up on my Facebook page, and I forgot the name of the animal, but it's the animal that like stands on its feet and it looks both ways for hawks. And in my meme, it said, where are those Biden-Harris supporters? Have you guys noticed that? The people that were like, ooh, Chucks and pearls. These people are silent. These misleaders are silent. And this is our problem as a community. We've got these people that tell us to look this way while they're giving it to us with no Vaseline the other way. And this is what Malcolm X talked about 60 years ago. By the time we find out the decision has already been made, the law has already been made, it's a done deal, and we missed out again.
You're talking about a meerkat. I think that's what it was. That was, yeah. But again, we are reactive and not proactive as a people. Every city hall meeting I've gone to, and I've seen Black people there versus white people or Asian, anybody else. Black people like, why y'all build that in our community? Why y'all do that to us? But the white people go over like, you ain't gonna do that to us. I see you got plans to be building a affordable housing unit smack dab in River Oaks or wherever, you know, it's affluent, and you will not do that. We will withhold our votes. We will make sure, and they don't do it. But we go when they already put a, you know, 15th.
Remember Miss Jackson?
Yeah, where they've already put a 15th weed dispensary on the same block in our neighborhood. That's when we show up, and they're like, man, you know how much money these people paid us to let us build there? Y'all should have came before we laid out the blueprint. So next.
I saw one good fight, the Sunnyside Multipurpose Center, where the mayor was trying to strong arm him into rebuilding it on some contaminated land. Shout out to Travis McGee, to Hill Charles, Nagumbi Knight, Mayor Sandra Massey Hines. They went to war and they shut it down. We have the power to move mountains if that's what we want to do. You see, but most of the time we don't show up to the fight. Y'all think that the Monroes and people like me, we just put a Superman cape on and go fight these battles. No, it don't work like that, man. You keep saying your soldiers and your warriors, but every time the war pop off, you ain't got your shield. You left your sword at home. You lost your bullets to the gun. Oh, I can't show up today. I can't show up today. You see what I'm saying? George Floyd never had to happen. Just like Rosa Parks. You know, they give her a lot of credit, but it was a whole bunch of people went to jail on them buses before Rosa did. It was a whole bunch of George Floyds before it was George. This could have been stopped. But unless we dig in the sand and just say the hell with it, this ain't going on no more the same way that white folks do. This is not going to go on. White folks say, no, you're not building a church on every corner in our neighborhood. No, you're not putting a liquor store on every corner in our neighborhood. No, this block here will not have 4 beauty supplies on it. Maybe we need to take a page out of their blueprint. Because where we at right now, this ain't gonna work, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, but it's all about knowing. We first got to know they trying to build that stuff in our neighborhood, right? We don't even know until, you know, we say, what they building over there? I didn't know they was. Did you go to the planning meeting at all to see what was on the docket? Did you do any of that?
Now, you notice charter schools always pop up in the black neighborhoods, right? Did y'all know that a charter school could not be built in that particular community unless the state rep of that area agrees to it?
I know now.
Let's go back. Let's go over here to Harm Park and that area, Alma Allen. So Alma knew that them charter schools was coming in there to take kids out the public schools. Garnett Coleman knew that those people were coming in there to take kids out the public schools. Jarvis Johnson knew that those people were coming in there to do that. Boris Miles knew that those people were coming in there to do that with those charter schools. They cannot do it unless they give them permission. So all this about we care about education, you goddamn lie. Because if you did, you never let them people come up in here.
Yep, but you know
Alan
what?
Guillory, hold on, Donovan.
Okay,
Alan Guillory says state rep for Houston is Alma Allen. 5-star Miss Allen is a good person. I never said she wasn't a good person, but I also didn't mention that she's scandalous as all I do.
Yeah, but you know what? I know my people and I know us well. we're going to, those of us, and not you guys out there, because like I said, for you guys to take the time to come and discuss these issues within our community, that says a lot, because you guys are getting that knowledge out there and you're going to pass that knowledge on. Great. But I know our people will just go to the next tragedy, because, that's just what we do. We'll keep giving our money to these other groups because we got to get our hair done. We got to get our nails done. We got to get to the turkey leg hut. We got to do all of these things. Now, the one thing that this pandemic has shown us is we have no friends and we have to save ourselves. If we can't come out of this better than when we went into it, it's just a wrap. It's just a wrap.
Let me show you how they do it. How y'all asleep at the wheel. 4 years ago, when I ran for office, there were a bunch of amendments on the ballot. One of them they never discussed publicly. They wouldn't even discuss it. They told y'all to vote yes for all of them. And you voted yes for all of them. You see what I'm saying? You voted yes for all of them. Now, you know what one of them was, Donovan? To expand the I-45 freeway and take out all them low-income black homes in the black community. So now you got the mayor and everybody else acting like they fighting against this. Motherfucker, y'all told them to vote for it. But they slipped it in on y'all. You didn't read the thing. You didn't know. And this is what they did to y'all. They slipped it in and you voted for it because that's what they told you. So now they're going to act like they're going to fight against it because they know it's going to create a massive homeless population. And all they can say is, we tried. Yeah, you tried. You tried to bamboozle them, and you did when you told them to vote for it. Yeah, it got y'all on that one. I didn't vote for that shit because I read it.
And that's another thing, how politically immature we are, and just immature as a people as we are. That's why they treat us so infantile. When this moratorium on rent is going to be raised, for those of y'all that did not pay your rent when you possibly could have, and I'm not talking that, people that could have paid it or was doing it, what's going to happen is Black people are going to be the most affected by this moratorium and homelessness. Here in LA County, I don't live in LA County, but I live near it. Half of the homeless people that occupy the homeless population in LA are Black. So I don't know about you guys, but do you have 8 months of rent due within 3 months of the moratorium being lifted? They're already signaling to you right now. They're opening everything up. They're starting to open stuff up. Florida, it's a free for all. What are you going to do? Are y'all ready for Aunt Gloria to come move in with y'all? The ones that did do it? This is going to be a serious thing, because once again, we have politicians that are not advocating for us about these problems and being forward and critical thinkers. And this is what we got to think about, because there's going to be a whole lot of Black people out on the streets. There's going to be a whole lot of pussy for sale. So just get ready.
Hey, I want to read this comment. I'm going to cover you up a little bit, Donovan. Gary, do you think those state reps signed off on those charter schools is because the public schools were performing so low that it gave those parents a choice? Were the kids' best interests at heart? Just asking your opinion. No, they signed off on it because there is no oversight over the money in charter schools. Therefore, if they want to knock off a little change and pay a state rep, they're going to take that money under the table. I'm dealing with a charter school one day almost in Sugar Land. This ain't got nothing to do with state rep Alma Allen. Man, I'm jamming them people up because of handicap accommodations. You had kids in wheelchairs who needed to go to class on the second floor, so they had no way to get them up because the elevator wasn't working. It hadn't even been installed yet. You know the first thing that the person that ran the school told me? Do you know State Rep Alma Allen? I don't give a damn if I do know it. What that got to do with it? Man, them people making money. Them people don't care nothing about them kids. If they cared so much, don't let the charter school come. Force the school district to spend the money in the public school and put the stuff in that they need. That's all it is. It's a money grab. And they grabbing it through them charter schools. Now, black people get charter schools. You don't know how to work the numbers, so you get caught up stealing. They go to jail.
I just kind of want to piggyback off of it was kind of sort of what Donovan was saying about paying your rent and all that other stuff. There's this Congress or representative from North Carolina, forget his name, the white guy nevertheless. So you guys might have heard that a lot of restaurants, fast food restaurants, are not even able to open. They're having to close because they don't have enough people to work. People don't want to show up to work. And so he basically says, well, he's blaming the stimulus and the unemployment. People are basically getting too comfortable and they don't want to go back to work. They basically say the government gave the stimulus and the unemployment too long and as people don't want to go back to work. So, of course, they are dragging him on Twitter, and they should be dragging him. And I'm like, okay, are we high? Who the hell wants to go back to Jack in the Box? Because actually it was a Hardee's that was closed because they didn't have people to work. I'm like, who the hell going back to Hardee's for $7.25 an hour when you can stay at home on unemployment plus a $300 a week stipend from the government and the stimulus checks that they're getting? I'm like, don't you think the issue really should be is to pay people more? Like, why am I going to give up all that money to go and deal with piss poor customers, flipping hamburgers, and just for nothing? Like, make it make sense. And so these corporations, people don't want to come to work, make it worth their while. And I see people saying, well, they're lazy and they're relying on the government. So what? Let those people get a little piece of the pie while they're getting this good. Like, stop hating all the time. I'm glad those people who, serve hamburgers and, the minimum wage service jobs, I'm glad they're getting a breath of fresh air and able to, maybe get ahead a little bit. Let the government and those corporations figure out how they're going to coerce people to come back to work and don't, try to cut off the benefits and stuff to screw people over. Because this pandemic is not anybody's fault. Put it on the doorstep of Trump is not his fault either, but he failed to call it what it was. And so leave those people alone about their little benefits. And Taco Bell, whatever, up your ante if you want people to come back to work.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But pay your rent.
I totally agree with you on that, man. Stay at home. You getting the money, do what you do. The numbers ain't working in your favor if you go back. But I find something really strange that they're opening up these states. They're allowing you to go to football games. They're allowing you to do this. They're allowing you to do that. But in Houston, you won't open that county courthouse. You won't open that. You won't let us go up in that city council because y'all making money right now. And as long as you can keep us on that phone and hang up in our face, then you don't give a damn. Man, y'all better wake up and smell the coffee, man. Man, these people making a mint right now. And you know what they on it? They somewhere listening right now. That motherfucker steady running his mouth. You can open up the football stadium, but you can't open up the county courthouse for us to come in there and listen and talk like we normally do. You can open up you can open up the Toyota Center for the Rockets, but you can't let us go into the city council. Man, y'all better understand right now, them motherfuckers now. They sitting there with the safe wide open. Fuck, I'm gonna get all the money I can get. And Turner sitting in there like, I already know I'm out this motherfucker when the election come up. I can't run again. I'm gonna get all my change. Fuck them. They not coming in here right now.
Yeah. And have you guys noticed that city services have been cut? You've got less services. So your neighborhood looks all jacked up. Code enforcement went down in a big city like Houston. I'm sure there's thousands of people. But in ours, we only have, matter of fact, they told us start using the app and calling shit in. So they're putting it on the people and conditioning us to do the job that we pay tax dollars for them to do. So yeah, it's all a money game and it's a big money grab. And then our city council voted themselves a raise. So what does that tell you?
Must be nice to be able to just vote yourself a raise. Hey, how much y'all want? I want $100,000 extra a year. Sure, okay, done.
Yeah, and our city councilmen aren't full-time people. We have a city manager. So these guys are part-time, really just ceremonial people that are making $80,000 now a year in benefits and pay.
And the thing is, when these people moving and shaking like that, then you got these Negroes out here that sit amongst us. Man, you got to understand, man, they just doing their job. You know why they say that? Because they come and drop them off some crumbs. They give them a little contract for this and that. So they make it, man, you really think all them people out there passing out water because they love the community? The motherfuckers making money, man. They making money. So if you at home and you work at Jack in the Box and you getting $800-900 more, man, stay your black ass at home, man.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Dimitri, I noticed here when I went to the city ledger, I noticed that all of the parks and recreation maintenance people, they're all Hispanic landscapers. Where are the black landscapers? Where are the white landscapers? They're all Hispanic. And of course, I'm not trying to stereotype. I happen to live in Mexico, California. Southern California is Mexico. It wouldn't be beyond me that some of the workers, Hispanics hire Hispanics, and all the contracts have gone to Hispanic landscapers to maintain the parks.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. You get in a position of power and you bring your people up, but they're doing it right. It's our people who don't do it right. Our people get in positions of power and they hire everybody else but us. And I noticed too, like when I go to a black restaurant or a black place of business, I won't shop there if I see that they've hired everybody else but black people. I won't shop there because I'm like, you're not doing it right. The purpose of group economics is to have a black business, hire black people, so the black dollars will circulate. Nipsey Hussle style, all money in, but we open up black businesses and we want to hire Hispanics. We want to hire white people. We want to hire everybody else. And I've heard people say, well, it's, because we want everybody to come in. But it's like, well, take your ass to Little Mexico and see if they have that same ideology. See how many of people that look like you are working behind their counters. They don't care if everybody comes in their business because they know their people are going to come in there. And that's all they're concerned with. And so they're doing it right. I'm not mad at them. We need to take a page out of their book.
Tears say they got the contracts because of networking with other Latinos in office, and they put in the lower bid for the contracts to later make bigger money on the back end. Exactly right. Exactly right. I mean, and we ain't bashing Latinos. Let's get that straight, man. You can't say we racist, none of that. We just speaking the truth. Y'all winning right now, bro. Latino the new black. Say what you want. They use us up for 400 years. They don't need us no more. Now they got y'all. Joe went from 15,000 immigrants to 62,000.
And they said 100 within the fiscal year, 100,000 new immigrants within the fiscal year. That's what the Biden administration proposed today. So,
final thoughts, Donovan.
Final thoughts. We got to be woke. We got to keep our head on swivel. And like I said, be cognizant of these policemen out there shooting us dead in the street. You could be next. I know everybody sits there and think, it could not be me, but the young man in Minnesota, young father, Dwayne, or I forgot his name. I'm sorry. But, he didn't think that he would be a victim, but it could happen. So I'm just going to tell my people, you guys, be careful out there. Look left, look right, and be one first.
Hey, Maggie. So and thank you for the compliment on my braids. No, they're not knotless braids. They've grown out, and so what I've done is just gelled it back. I'm trying to keep them in as long as possible. I went to our people's to get them done, and they did a good job. But I paid almost $200 for these damn braids. I need me a homie in the hood that know how to do these braids or whatever. No, actually, I'm gonna do it myself next time. No, they just grew out. So I just brush it back. But anyway, we as Black people need to get our stuff together. We've got to do our part in saving ourselves. I always use this analogy is, let's say somebody says they want your help. Let's say they're drowning, right? Say, okay, I'm going to save you. and you throw the life raft out there and they swim farther and farther away. I'm drowning. I want you to save me. You're like, okay, here, I'm gonna throw it back into you. And it keeps, I mean, so you've got to swim toward the life raft in order to, so you got to play a role in being saved. Like, we got to do our part too. I'm not absolving white supremacy and all the things they've done to us and still doing to us of the, you know, of what they've done. But I'm saying we at least got to grab on to the life raft that is being thrown to us, or hell, throw ourselves a life raft every once in a while.
Wake up, my people. Wake up, wake up, wake up. That's all it takes for you to open your eyes, open your ears. You'll hear and see the same things that we do. Now, they don't like when we talk, but they can't do nothing about it. You feel what I'm saying? So it's just time to wake up. Say it's a reason why we the best in the business, man. You can watch anything else. It ain't gonna be this entertaining. It's the War Zone every day. Facebook and YouTube, 7 o'clock Central Time. I want to thank my man Donovan Sadiq, the Queen Demetra K, and I am the 5-star general. Until tomorrow night, we'll holler at you.